Why don't you purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka?
And welcome to Enter VR. My name is Chris Miranda, and today I'm joined by Tom Sidl. And Tom works for iMirror. Hey, Tom, thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, so let's get this thing out of the way. What is iMirror, first of all, and what do you do for them?
iMirror, I was really the founder of iMirror and the chief designer that came up with the mirror shape. And what we've done with the company is we've tried to use some existing technology that's been out there to use mirrors to create panoramic photography. But up till now, up really till the release of the GoPro Black, there hasn't been really enough resolution to shoot 360 video from just one camera. So this is what we're really focused on, and is our leading product at the moment is putting the mirror in front of a GoPro camera in a product we call the GP360, where we can actually shoot with this amazing resolution that the GoPro Black can deliver. We've actually tweaked the firmware on the Black now, so we get a square, which is what you need to shoot at for when you're using mirrors, of 3040 pixels by 3040 pixels at 22 frames a second, which we're very impressed with, and produces pretty much near full screen video now.
Wow. And so about this GoPro camera, it was the resolution that made it possible for you guys to implement it with the mirrors, or was there something else about the camera?
I mean, it's mainly the resolution. Of course, it's great that it's a versatile, small little camera, so you can mount it on your head or mount it on windsurfing mast, or you can mount it pretty much wherever. But really, the resolution for that money, if you want to, there isn't really a camera that can shoot in that, because if we wanted to get this without tweaking the firmware from a standard camera, we'd have to shoot with a camera that's got 8 times HD, which I think maybe only the top of the range Red can kind of pull that amount of resolution, and that's I don't know, $20,000 plus. Yeah. So it's really the crazy resolution we can get out of it. I mean, typically before with standard resolution HD video cameras, you're always you've got to shoot in a square, so you're only getting really 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels out of a standard HD camera. But with the Black, with this, we're getting the 3000, so it's pretty much 9 times the resolution you get with a standard HD camera.
So just to take a quick step back, the iMirror, what it essentially is, it is a device that enables consumers, if I'm not mistaken, the average person to shoot 360-degree video, utilizing a GoPro camera or a DSLR. Or anything else? What other cameras can they use besides these two?
You can use pretty much every camera out there. Micro Four Thirds, you've got a little mount for digital SLRs. It will screw straight onto the front of your standard 1855 lens. And even we've got an underwater version which will work with underwater compact cameras. That's something called a wet lens, which is really good for underwater filming. And we're really excited as well about the way the camera market is shifting. We expect in Q1 2014 to be a lot of consumer Quad HD and Quad HD digital SLR cameras out there. So if people are worried about that their current digital SLR camera doesn't have enough video resolution, then come January, February, the same model will still work on your higher resolution your Quad HD cameras as well. And obviously don't forget with digital SLRs, you've got the ease of being able to just shoot a 360 still image at whatever resolution your camera will do. So it's a great a very easy device to make still images with as well.
Cool. That's very cool. So this wouldn't be the podcast about everything virtual reality if we didn't talk about the Oculus Rift and virtual reality, right? And
that's what we really like.
Yeah. So you take your 360 video. Let's say I go out for I put a GoPro camera on my bicycle helmet and I go for a ride in downtown San Francisco, and I get a cool video of myself going downtown. So then the content creation is there, the content consumption. I see that. What are the different avenues? There's definitely the Oculus Rift. I saw that you can use the Oculus Rift to look around in 360. But what other avenues are there for people to consume this new form of media?
You're talking about how can they view it, basically,
Sure.
apart from the Oculus Rift. I've got the option to view on iPad and Android as well. So, to view on iOS and Android as well. And we've got a little demo on our Kickstarter where we use we've hooked up a wireless Android device to a TV, which quite a few smart TVs will now immediately mirror what you've got on your tablet. But what we're really excited about is the Oculus. Getting as soon as you've got the video inside the Oculus, of course, you can look around in every direction, and that is obviously the ultimate way to view it at the moment, because it really is like you'll be there riding that same bicycle again. And we've done some very clever, though it is a monoscopic device, we've done some very clever manipulation of the image, which produced a very realistic, I mean, we're surprised how good it actually is, of a very realistic 3D image that we get from the camera. So we actually, in theory, we double the resolution we get by using computer manipulation to split up to recreate the video that you see in your other eye. So it's not a case of stretching the video, but we end up with a 2 times Quad HD resolution, well, Quad HD per eye, that the Oculus can sample. Obviously, the Oculus can't display that in one go, but it looks around at that part of the image of the Quad HD video, if I'm making sense, because you're only ever looking at a small part of the image at one time in the Oculus.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And what is the frame rate at this point?
The video is recorded at 22 frames a second, but the viewer that the Oculus is using is actually sampling the video at 60 frames a second. Mm-hmm. So that is the crucial thing. With the Oculus, obviously, you need high frame rate, because if you move your head quickly and you've got a low frame rate, then as you move, it will jitter along. You go jump, 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 and you'll see the image jump along. But what we've managed to do is to get smooth panning of this image, which are actually sampling at 60 frames a second. So we get a very smooth image, and you wouldn't be able to notice it that the original video is 22 frames a second. I mean, obviously, most film video is shot at 24 frames a second, and the average person wouldn't be able to notice the difference between the 2 frame rates. I can't even notice the difference, and I've been working with video now for the last 18 years. Right.
And so, I think about Oculus and your device, your camera sort of device. What would you call it, by the way? Is it like a camera peripheral, or is it how do you, sorry, I know it's such a fundamental question, but how do you call the eye mirror? What is it?
Because you've really got to look at the product as a whole when you've got the GoPro back in there. And we're just calling it what was the last thing I called it when I was pushed to it? I think I just called it a 360 video recording device, I think, or I've even called it the first video recorder for the Oculus is another phrase I've used. I mean, it's the first one that's been able to have enough resolution to be able to spin all the way around and actually get a good, clear, detailed image, rather than trying to spread the pixels around and produce a blurry image.
So then, so the dream for me is eventually, because what I think it's going to take for Oculus to succeed is for content to be available for the Rift, right? And I think that you could have developers, and you can have talented, creative programmers out there making games and experiences, but what about the users and consumers themselves? And this is where I think you can have, or people will be able to build the YouTube of virtual reality, and it'll be using iMirror cameras, and the media consumption device will be the Oculus Rift, and you'll have this parallel. I feel like it'll have this, you'll have this parallel symbiotic relationship between Oculus and iMirror, because iMirror is the thing you shoot these awesome new forms of videos. I mean, I'm just thinking about like the things people will be able to do with 360 video, anything from documentaries to journalism to all. I mean, it just I feel like you guys are on the path of revolutionizing film and how we use and view film. Where do you see yourself personally and as a company, like, going forward?
For sure. I mean, we see it as really, it's a great way to record your memories and relive them. I mean, you can go. I mean, I shot some video kind of when we first did the firmware hack on the GoPro Black. I shot some video probably 2 or 3 months ago, and then I eventually got around to playing this old video in the Oculus, and it was amazing how it brings back the memories of exactly what you're feeling. You've got all the sounds going on and you're spinning around. I mean, you can get a certain feel of that from just a normal 2D video, but when you put the head-mounted display on it, it really shocks back the memory you had when you were filming at that location and what you were doing. It kind of really brings it back to life. So yeah, it's definitely the next step in filmography. I think is taking it to. I mean, I see it as it's the next step between black and white on color TV, or even I'd go as far as to say it's a similar step from radio to television, as bringing taking you one step closer to reality.
Right, and there's you guys are onto something, because there's a quote from Steven Spielberg that I've quoted in the past, where Spielberg was talking about what film and movies will be like in the next century, and he was saying, like, we've been stuck on this paradigm where we've been looking at squares, flat squares, 10 feet, 6 feet, 20 feet away from us, and it's not good enough anymore. I don't think it's good enough. And so what Spielberg is saying is, like, the next thing is going to be, you're going to have to surround your customer, your audience by the experience. They will have to be inside the experience. Again, this is a perfect way to see a movement of crowdsource sort of content going out for the Oculus Rift. What are your critics saying? The skeptics? What is being said in that direction? From that direction?
I don't know. We've just had a really warm welcome. I mean, the mirrors. I mean, in the past, mirrors have got a bit of a hard time of it, just purely down to the low resolution. I remember when I started designing mirrors, we were really excited about a still camera that could do 4 megapixel photos back. I was at the Nikon 8700 or something like that, and we were really excited about it. And it cost me $1,500 to do. And I mean, back then, 4 megapixels for a single photo was, it was pushing it with the quality compared to taking a whole multiple series of images. But now we've got this resolution to play with. I mean, there's still a few naysayers that say, recently on Facebook, one guy was saying mirrors par, and then some other guy chirped in and said, look, the mirror technology has now changed. Now we've got this big resolution, especially with the black. Then it makes it a game changer for this kind of technology. I mean, it's really, I've been waiting. I mean, I've been designing this stuff, these mirrors now for 15, 18 years, and now this is the technology I've been waiting for. I remember speaking to a Kodak guy, again, 15 years ago, and he said it's going to be about 10 years before the commercially available sensors that do what you want at an affordable price. And, if you've already got a GoPro Black yourself, our mirror, we're looking at around about, I should have brushed up and checked my prices beforehand, but you're looking around about $300, $350 off the top of my head. And that will get you everything you need to do, including software, to be able to display the video in your Oculus Rift, or display it on your iPad, or display it on your PC, or, to share the link with your friends just in a web browser. It's going to be cool.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, So you know what when you're telling me your story about mirrors and how it feels like there's another parallel between the story of mirrors and virtual reality itself. Like, you're saying how, yeah, it's gonna take 10 years before mirror technology gets there. I feel like people have been saying that about virtual reality for a while, especially in the 90s when they first tried to get an entry. So that's interesting. Yeah. And so what is it that's enabled this technology to be here now? What is it? What are the factors that contribute to it being available?
There's a few factors. Number one is just the resolution of the video, again, from the GoPro Black. But the other thing, what we've done is, secondly, this is the third generation formula we're using to produce the mirror shape. So now we've kind of got it down really fine where we can get a very sharp image through the whole picture, which is quite hard to do. We managed to do this with something called radial manipulation technology. And also the other driving force is we're using a new manufacturing technique on the mirror itself, which had never been used before. And previously, it's very easy to make these small mirrors if you've got a production cost of $1,000 each. But it's really hard to make them low cost yet keep that level of quality. We've not made a cheap plastic mirror in this. We're using a totally new technique which we've designed ourselves, and we've worked closely with a manufacturing partner, and that allows us to actually make it very high quality, even higher quality than glass, which was typically used before. And that's the other step. We can produce these quite cheap, but with no compromising quality, which is hard to do.
So when after you guys are successful with your Kickstarter, what will be the price points that you guys are looking at to charge people for this awesome device? Yeah. So
the pricing for our units will be, for the digital SLR, will be $453. For the GoPro Silver or the GoPro 2, which is and that also includes the GoPro Silver 3 and GoPro Silver 3 Plus. You don't actually need to change the lens on your GoPro camera, so you can use the existing one. So if you've got one of those cameras, you're only looking at $249. For the GoPro Black, we've designed a special custom lens that goes actually inside the GoPro camera, which is of super high quality, but ended up being a bit expensive to produce. But with that, you're still looking for $448 will get you everything you need, excluding your GoPro Black camera. And if you want us to change the lens on the GoPro Black for you and so you're a complete ready-to-go package, that's $897. And that will include all the software you need. All the software you need to get your tours online. We've got a YouTube-style website where you can easily share your video, and it includes everything you need to get going. And for those of you that are worried about changing the lens on your GoPro Black, it's a very easy thing to do. And our lens is super high quality, so you've actually got the added bonus if you want to shoot with video without the fisheye effect. You can use our lens, and it's very easy to swap them over. Using our lens for normal non-360 video, you can do as well if you remove the mirror. And it's a very easy process to do. You actually just heat the GoPro with a hairdryer, and don't worry, they can handle a lot of heat. And then the front lens becomes very loose, and you can just unscrew it with a pair of pliers, or actually hope to be supplying a special tool, which will basically be a set of plastic pliers so you can't scratch the lens. But it's a very easy process to remove the lens. We've got an instructional video on how to do it, and it's only about a 5-minute job. You don't actually need a screwdriver, you just need a hairdryer and a pair of pliers.
Very cool. And so let's say I go out, I take my video, then like you said, I upload my video to my computer, and then what I would do is I would go on iMirror website, and you guys would do the formatting and all the processing for me, or is the video ready to go to, once it's out of the camera? How does that work?
Actually, that's a very good point you bring up. What we've done previously, what you had to do was process this, what we call the donut image, which is this circular image we get from the video. You'd had to process it to a long equirectangular, which is basically a rectangular panoramic shot, and then play that in a viewer. But what we've managed to do with our viewer is the video can be processed straight away from this circular style image in the viewer to seeing it in an image you can spin around and look at straight away in a number of seconds. I mean, before, for a 5-minute video, you could be looking at a 5-hour processing time just before you can look at the video. But with our viewer, you're actually playing the video file straight, the MP4 file straight from the GoPro camera. So it's a super quick process to do it, and that's how we can easily host your video online. And in those prices I mentioned to you earlier, we also include the viewer yourself, so you can go and run that viewer on your own website, so you're not tied to us in any way if you're a bit more tech savvy and want to do it that way. And likewise with the Oculus viewer, again, it will be able to play the raw donut image, so you won't have to do any long processing. It straight away. You can get home, save your files from your GoPro to your computer, load those into the viewer, and bang, you can straight away see what was going on.
Very cool. So, wow. So let's step back and tell me about your story. How did you wind yourself with such a cool gig? Like you live in Hawaii and you're working for iMirror. How did you wind up on this awesome path that life is taking you in?
Well, I started doing these mirrors probably about 19 years ago, and then I started actually designing them myself around about 15 or 16 years ago, and we were doing big high-end commercial applications and they're very expensive. We were charging over $1,000 each for a good unit, and I thought, I've always had in the back of my mind, and these were mainly for still images, and always in the back of my mind was this thing is going to be so cool for video when video cameras eventually get their act together. And I've tried with machine vision cameras, which are very small but very expensive cameras that can do we were shooting with those at 2,000 pixels by at 15 frames a second, and that I could see the potential of the market, but these were costing $4,000 each to make. And then we were plodding along and then saw the specifications for the GoPro Black that were going to be released, and we thought this is the camera to really target. And I left I got bought out of the original company I set up producing mirrors, and with that money I've stuck it all into this new company, really focusing on this small portable mirror. And what a better place than to pitch your office in Hawaii, as I like to windsurf and kite surf. And I'm just starting to learn surfing, but I suck at it at the moment. But living in London, where I had the original company, the only place to windsurf was some dodgy old reservoir, and it was always raining and horrible. And it's a bit nicer to be windsurfing out here in Maui.
I would imagine. That's awesome. What an awesome story. And so, have people, what sorts of people have approached you guys with ideas, opportunities, or questions? I noticed on your Kickstarter you have I don't want to give false information, but he works for Discovery, right? And he was really interested on the iMirror.
Yeah, Dan Burden, who's basically my business partner, only business partner at the moment, who owns shares in the company. He's what's his term at Discovery Channel? He's a director of photography for Discovery Channel. He's done work for the BBC, designing underwater housings. Wow. And he's been a great asset in putting together the housing for the GoPro and making sure it's all waterproof. And he's actually dived with it down to 50 meters, wow, which is pretty deep. And the thing held up the GP360 held up really well. And he's been a really great asset and he's been very knowledgeable when it comes to video cameras as well, and what's going on in the market and what to look out for. And he was one of the people that really that got on board with me and said, hey, we've got to really push this GoPro Black thing. It's really going to go. So without him, the design definitely wouldn't be as good.
Very cool. And so I see for this camera, I mean, this could change security, like security cameras forever. Like have and wildlife documentaries, just reporting. I mean, the things I just trying to imagine, like now, all the things that regular cameras today miss. You know, you're taking a snapshot of a particular place. With a 360 camera, you everything that you missed behind you can now go back and rewind and look at what you missed. That's a very compelling, amazing ability now with this technology. So
yeah, you just reminded me of basically we were filming with some underwater scooters, which you might have seen on the website. We've just done some new footage, and there was this big seal coming over the shoulder of the cameraman, and he didn't see it at all. And then he saw it at the last minute and kind of was like, oh wow, and then kind of tried to follow it, and it swam off in the distance. But of course, on the 360 video, we managed to see what he was doing, and we totally caught the shot, or otherwise it would have been totally missed.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, it's so handy when you're in shots where you haven't got your hand on the camera. Like when I had it on my windsurf, and you're going down a wave, and you don't want to see just the shot out in front of you. You want to spin it around and see the wave following you. Look across at your friend riding the same wave, and it just opens up so much more where you haven't got a chance to basically turn the camera to where you want.
Yeah, it truly is amazing. I want to get my hands on one so badly. So, quick question about Oculus and using the Oculus inside the 360 video. So with the Oculus, you can look in every. Can you look in every direction? Can you look up and still see video? Can you look down and still see video?
What we've done to simulate that, because we actually see 102 degrees vertically at the moment, so we're not capturing everything in total 360. But what we found is the sky. You're typically, when you're viewing the Oculus, you'll tend to look up a little bit, but you won't tend to look straight down at the floor, maybe once or twice. You're typically looking at the action, as in everyday life, when are you pointing straight up? But what we've found is we stretch the image a slight bit vertically, so we cheat and get about 60 degrees up and down, so it's 120 degrees total. And then we fake the top part of the image by inverting the top part and stretching it. So typically, you've got a blue sky straight up if you're out and about, and we flip that top bit and then blend it in. So we're actually kind of creating a fake bit of sky. And if it's sky, if you've got something clear above you, it's very hard to notice unless you look right up vertically. And what we found is looking down, there tends to be more detail when you look down. So over the spot where essentially the camera sits, what we've done is created a kind of computer simulation of a metal dome that sits at the bottom that's got a reflection in it. So when you look down, it actually looks like part of the scene rather than just a black hole. So it's not it's not total 360 by 180, but we're getting close to it. And in your average everyday viewing where you're just, if you're snowboarding or something like that, the sky's always going to be blue, and you're going to see out in front of you, and you want to be looking out in front of you, then straight down at the floor, or you're going to start feeling uneasy at the fact you're going to crash into something or something. Yeah. So even though it's not there, and also one advantage of this is that we concentrate the pixels that you see into the most important area that you're most looking at. If we spread those pixels over an entire 360 180 view, you're hardly looking up at the sky, but then that would take away the detail you get from looking straight ahead, which is the most important thing.
So I completely understand this is day zero for your technology, and I love the fact that you're heading and you're working towards potentially one day being able to provide the consumers with that whole bubble-like experience. but I'm on board regardless with what you have right now so far. It looks amazing. About depth perception, is that something that can be worked with hardware, or do you think there's a solution with software that might be able to trick us into giving us depth perception in 3D?
Yes, I mean, we've got a really realistic 3D simulation going on where we use, I can't go into too much detail how we do it, but
Sure.
basically we simulated a rig where we had 20 cameras, which created a virtual 360 image just to see what the ideal setup would be, and then we used our computer simulation to try and model this a 20 camera setup, and it's amazing how close we get, because you really need a whole ton of cameras to get a really good 3D 360 image out of it. And the simulation we modeled is surprisingly accurate. Then the 3D, I mean, seeing is believing, but we're really surprised, and we don't fully understand how our algorithm is working so well, but the depth we've got there, it's very hard to see, and it's not typically fake 3D where everything that's cut out. It's got amazingly kind of depth to the 3D objects you see in the film.
That's amazing. That's really cool. And so would this be integrated sometime in the future, do you think? Or
we have it basically working now on a test rig where we basically process it in some standalone software.
Mm-hmm.
But for launch, which we expect in January, then we expect to be able to we're playing the donut image now in monoscopic in the player direct without processing. But it's a small step to implement our algorithm to do it in real time. So then we're playing it in real time. But just to be clear now, at the moment, what we've done is managed to process this, and we're seeing this 3D simulation now in our player, but it's not real time processing today. But we expect in 2 or 3 weeks it'll be done in real time. And if you get on and sign up on our newsletter, which is at the bottom of our website, then we hope to have some demos for you Oculus people to actually be able to view within the next week or so. So you'll be actually able to see this 3D simulation rather than just hear me talk about it.
That I can't wait. That sounds awesome. Yeah, that you've blown my mind, because that was the thing. That was the thing that I was like, I hope you guys are on that. I really can't wait for the success of your camera and your software, because that's so. Who's your target audience right now? I've noticed it's the sports enthusiast. But are you going after different markets like the soccer mom, the school teacher, the enterprise, other businesses? What are you guys trying to target at?
I mean, we really don't know right now what the user base is for. I mean, there's going to be so many people doing so many different things with this device. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Obviously, the markets that stand out is the typical GoPro market, which is the action sports market. But I'm sure there's just a whole ton of applications we haven't thought of. You know, filming your family's wedding, you just stick the camera in the middle on the table, and you're going to get everyone's response. There's just that was just off the top of my head, but there's just so many possibilities.
Yeah, no, there are. And you guys seem like you're on your way to be very successful, and I wish you the best of luck. The most you have my dollars. And you've earned my support and all that good stuff, because yeah, I see you and your company and the iMirror being very important to Oculus and Oculus consumers in the future. We don't know how long that's gonna take. Hopefully, it'll start kicking off in January with you guys. But I really, really can't wait to see what you guys will come up with a year from now. What you'll have built a year from now. Yeah, and.
Right, and thanks a lot, Chris, for taking the time to interview us. And don't forget, people out there, if we reach our $200,000 goal, then we're going to be giving away our Oculus software viewer for free. And we really hope you can help us and really help us push it along. We've got probably about another 18 days left by the time you're listening to this. We finish on January the 5th. But come on and find us on Kickstarter. Just search for iMirror. That's EYE. Next word, mirror, and our product will come up on there.
Well, that was Thomas Sidl from iMirror. Thank you so much for your time, Tom.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris.
So that was my interview with Thomas Sidl from iMirror. Tom forgot to mention something really quick. If you are really interested in getting or supporting iMirror, the cameras are on Kickstarter at a 20 to 15% cheaper rate than if you bought them as consumer models. So if you would like to get yourself an awesome iMirror camera and score yourself a bargain, head over to Kickstarter before they run out and before the campaign ends on January 5th, 2014. Thank you again for listening to Enter VR. My name is Chris Miranda, and you guys have an awesome day.